A lot of people have asked me this question, so here is my advice for aspiring tabletop RPG designers. In full disclosure, I am still fairly new to this myself. I've only been designing games for a year, but this is my advice to anyone who wants to start designing their first game. Number one is to start small. There are a lot of games out there that are only a page or two long. Half of my games are only a page or two long. When you're new to game design and don't know how to get started, having a bite-sized game really helps you start and finish it and keeps it low stress. Number two, don't make it perfect. I have personally struggled with perfectionism in the past, so I understand how this might be difficult for some people, but I cannot stress enough to not try to make your first game perfect. It might be trash, and that is perfectly fine. Game design, just like writing or art, is something that takes practice to get good at, so it would be an unreasonable expectation on yourself to expect your first game to be perfect, so let go of that perfectionism as much as you're able to. Some of you might have grand ideas for this 300-page project, and that's fantastic, and that's great, but don't start with that, because it's going to be so much harder for you to write if it's the first thing that you dive into. Plus, you're going to want that thing to be as good as it can possibly be, so get some practice in first. I have a couple of games that I want to write, but I am intentionally not writing them yet because I know that if I write them now, they're not going to be as good as they could be. So let it simmer. Number three, do not try to be completely original. This is something I know I have had trouble with, so I expect that some of you may have trouble with it as well. But really, truthfully, don't try to make a totally original concept for your first game. Take inspiration from other games around you. Some of you may think, well, I don't want a game designer thinking that I'm just copying them. But I can assure you that most game designers, especially in the indie scene, are really encouraging of people making stuff based off of their own work. In fact, a lot of game designers have SRDs, or system reference documents, that explain the game system that they've developed specifically so that other people can make stuff in that system. One example of this is the single-player game The Wretched, which is a fantastic game, and it has its own SRD. And now there are like hundreds of games that are inspired by The Wretched. So if you are not sure about how to start making mechanics, then basing your game off of something else might be a great way to start. That's all for now, but good luck out there for everyone who wants to try game design. I am super excited for you.